Welcome back.
Welcome back to Couple Goals with Amy and Locky. What an intro. Jeez.
So how crazy is this? We're doing this for the second time. I messed up. So
we did like our best podcast ever.
I reckon it was one of our best. We both walked away being like, that was gnarly.
And what happened, Locky?
Well, so what had actually happened was I must have had Spotify on my laptop, recording much like we are now, but I turned the volume right down so we couldn't hear it because it's going through this machine we have.
The computer heard it.
But the computer very much heard it. So when I pulled it up to edit it, I was like, wait, it sounds like two people, like two extra people are talking.
Two podcasts going, so we completely ruined the...
Yeah, and it was a banger. So anyway, that's a technical error on my part, but hey.
Luckily, we are in our little break of the tour, so we can re-record.
We've got 2 days.
2 days to rest and recover.
But let's not talk about today and tomorrow. We'll talk about today because we owe you guys an episode. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow.
Let's talk about the tour. The first, technically it's the second leg of the Say Geronimo tour.
Yep.
So we felt like we drove all over America.
We drove 6,000 miles, so over 6,000 miles, which was about 10,000 kilometers.
Jeez, how far is that? Like to Sydney to Perth?
I think it's Sydney to Perth and back.
Oh, I'd believe it. Every day was
I believe
a slog. But we had so much fun on the tour, I've got to say. Now that it's all over and I've had a little bit of sleep, I'm still feeling pretty sleep deprived because we have been busy, even though we're meant to be resting.
There's no rest for the wicked.
But where did we start? Like, it feels like a lifetime ago.
Denver. Well, yourself and George flew in.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the little superstars flew in. We all drove, and it was fun. Like we drove.
Yeah, guess who got sick? Everyone who drove.
I didn't get sick.
Oh yeah, we didn't. So Locky and I didn't get sick, but everybody else did.
Yeah,
and
that's fatigue.
Are we better than everyone?
I don't want to say it publicly, but if you call this a public forum, let's do it. But
so yeah, it started in Denver.
Denver was cool. I really liked Denver.
I know. I just wish that we could see more of it. I think one of the best parts of touring is getting to see.
Oh no, we hit a hurricane on the way in.
Oh, you did.
That's right. Because I was like, didn't we? Because did we pick you up?
You picked us up from the airport.
Yeah,
in Denver.
but we thought we were going to be late, so we're driving, and no word of a lie. So Kathleen and I were in one car, and Emma and Liam were in the other car. And Kathleen and I were just like building playlists and whatnot. We're listening to the playlist of Twister. Like, I'm not even lying to you here. And as we're coming into Denver, so we've been driving for maybe like 10 plus hours at this point, there's a big storm cloud. And I'm like, how funny would it be if like we just saw a Twister drop out? Like, this is why we're listening to Tucker Wetmore's song. And anyway, 5 minutes go by, and by then we'd finished the album, but Emma messages been like, tornado warning, like the alarms go.
Yeah, so here they have like amber alerts. And your phone goes crazy and it's so loud. It's like a siren on your phone for tornadoes, or if like, a child goes missing or something important, your phone will go off even if it's in the middle of the night, and it's terrifying.
It was wild.
So the amber alert went off, which means the tornado has touched down.
Yeah, but my phone hadn't done that, so I was like, that's odd. So we just kept driving, and then we sort of like both pulled off the road. And then my phone started, and Kathleen's phone started going, whoop. I was like, this is, like, you could not script a better story unless you're writing Twister itself. But then we're sitting there, so literally in the middle of, like, there's nothing. We'd passed a truck stop maybe 20 minutes back, and then there's Denver.
Right.
And you can't go to Denver because
there's a tornado.
There's a tornado there between us and there. And Liam's like, let's go right. And I'm like, dude, right is a paddock. I'm not going into a flipping paddock. Like, no chance. What are we going to hide under? So he started driving that way. I was like, no, Kathleen, we're going left. Like, so we just flipped the UE, and eventually they flipped the UE as well. Jeez. And we hooked it back to the truck stop. Anyway, I think
moral of the story was they were late to pick us up.
Well, we survived a tornado. That's what happened. And I don't know whether it's a Twister, tornado, hurricane. I don't know the difference. Yeah. I don't care. So essentially, it's a big wind tunnel.
Twister. The tour started off with a bang, needless to say.
What's that?
Tour started off with a bang or a twist.
It did. It did.
But we had a lot of fun, didn't we? I mean, the shows were small. I mean, we're basically building this whole thing up from the ground again. Not the ground. I think it has surprised us how many people have showed up, like passionate Shepherd fans. They're all singing the words. And I want to give a shout out to some of the Patreon members.
Look at this photo for those
Locky's
who.
getting the photos up.
I'm just showing photos. If you're watching this, you can see like that's crazy, that stuff. So it was still sick, but yeah, it is. Well, you shout out to your fans first, and then
so Matthew King came out with his wife, and that was really cool to see him. And he took some photos. A great photographer, so shout out to Matt. Also, Marissa was in Salt Lake City. She is long-term fan, Patreon member, so shout out to Marissa. It's great to see you guys all coming out and saying hello. And because the Patreon members are a small group, I do recognize you guys, so appreciate you. Also, yeah, just like great crowds, even though the rooms are like 100, 120.
How do you feel about going from playing like such big rooms, such big shows, etc., to then coming back to the USA, which is essentially your biggest streaming market, to then rocking up at some shows where there's like 100 people? But when I say 100 people, like they're very enthusiastic and like super fans, which is awesome. So, but it's like, how does that feel for you?
I think sometimes, if I'm being completely honest, it can be really disheartening because we've toured the US before. Like we're 13 years into this career and we're still doing the same venues here. Like we did in San Francisco, we did literally the same venue that we played 6 years ago. And that was pretty confronting in a way because I guess sitting in that green room, I was like, I can't believe we're back here. I had so many dreams then that we'd like this next time we tour it would be an upgrade, but life doesn't work out the way you plan, like ever, of course. And I had a moment in there where I was just like, what am I doing? Like, why are we doing this? And then you get out on stage and like the crowd was bigger than the last time we performed, and you ask for a show of hands of like, whose first time is it to see Shepherd? And there's a handful of people that put their hands up, but for the most part, they're all new fans. And that's what gets me excited. And I'm excited for the people that came back as well, like long-term fans, always very valued in our community. But it's great to see that people are coming out to the shows singing every single word. And as you said, they're super fans. They're not just like, oh yeah.
They haven't just stumbled across it and like walked past the...
They've been waiting for us. So I get really excited because I know that this is just the beginning and it's only going to grow from here.
Yep.
So putting in the hard yards, but honestly, it was hard, but it's so rewarding and it's so worth doing. I really love doing these venues in a certain way, in a particular as well. And sorry, it's early.
You're right. Amy was supposed to be on another interview, but that got canned. So I've managed to grab her on here before she goes to a hen's party. So
it's exciting.
She hasn't had enough coffee.
I haven't. Definitely not.
But I think don't underplay like how hard it is. I think from the outside looking in, it looks like, and don't get me wrong, we do have a lot of awesome experiences and memories and stuff, but it's the business of music. The way it's brutal. Did I give the example of builders last time we recorded this? I think I did. I'm going to do it again because I think it's awesome. For those of you in the building industry, which is probably no one on here, but hear me out. People who build houses, so the builder, the construction manager, generally have to get in all these subcontractors, which will be your plumbers, your electricians, your gardeners, all that sort of stuff. And they pay them before they might have been paid installments by the bank or the homeowner. And quite often they spend all their money and are left with nothing, even though they're the ones who brought it all together to create this incredible thing. And for me, from someone who was in that industry to then watching the music industry, it's very similar. Like the musicians, and especially you guys write all your own music. You do all, we're over here, we're doing the whole tour. Like there's no hands, there's no help. And you guys are the last to get paid. Management puts out their hands, the venues puts out their hands, agents, everyone's putting out their hand. And then you're like, how do we pay ourselves? Because you guys haven't paid yourself. And the crazy thing is, from my perspective, is we're starting to like look at this and be like, how can we actually make it so we can draw a wage? Because we've moved over here, we're in our 30s, like we're making a living out of it. But while it may look like on the outside on social media that we're doing all this and money's rolling in. The truth is that it's not, and it's hard, and we're trying to figure that out. And I think you guys have learned, we've all learned a lot of lessons over the last 13 years in this industry. But the most important thing now is like, one, delivering an awesome show for your fans, but then how can we add more value to you to actually make it sustainable for us to do it? Because the truth is like, it's not sustainable at the moment, really.
No. And that can be disheartening. As much as we love performing and getting out there, the venue capacities right now are like 100, 120.
Yeah.
And we basically broke even on this tour. So I think we made a profit, which is great. Like, it's whenever a tour makes a profit, it's like, oh my God, like that's amazing for any band, which is just crazy. But, you know,
but this is where your support, like, this is what I want to bang home, is like your support matters more than you may realize. Like, whether you come by yourself or even bringing a friend along matters, because
and buying merch as well. Like, it's not just for us, but if you go and see a band, buy some merch, because you don't even know how much that helps. It might be one T-shirt might be the difference of like a tour being in the green out of the red. And I think it's ours, like 5 T-shirts in the green. Literally, like we made a profit of like $200 and something.
And if you think about that across 3 band members, and the fact,
there's 5 of us.
and the fact that has to support you while you're not touring. Like, if you look at that over a 12-month period, and no one goes to work for free. And I think, of course, it's the exposure which always gets said, but I think that's how we need to start. I would love more people to look at that, to be like, okay, well, if you don't want your favorite bands to break up, whether it's Shepherd or not, start looking at the big picture. And it's very easy to say, okay, well, run your business better. But, and I've been guilty of saying that, but then now that you hear the venues choose pricing for you to sell your ticket, and you're like, how can you determine what we decide to charge? Like, because at the moment those prices are not profitable, and you push back and they're like, nah, find a different venue. And you're like, all right, well, that makes it quite challenging to run a profitable business if you're telling us what we can and can't charge for tickets.
Yeah. So it is literally down to like selling out the venues and selling merch.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough on that.
I know. I don't want to sound like we're complaining, because we are so grateful for everyone who did come out, and like lots of people did buy merch. And to do that across the other side of the world, the people that came were just like quality like, fans.
If you could, the coolest fans of all time.
And we know that when we tour again, it's going to be that little bit bigger, and it's an investment right now.
100%.
And we are having a lot of fun on the journey. Lockie's looking at some photos. We saw some
Can we talk about
incredible
Menden?
Scenery.
I only know it's Menden because it says. But one night we were driving from Salt Lake to the next place, but we drove 2 hours out of it. Anyway, none of us could see. There was 2 houses on this farm, and no one could see it. And I was just like, imagine if we wake up on this ranch. I remember saying that.
It had ranchy feels. Like, I was kind of freaked out. I was like, where the hell are we?
Scary. Anyway, we went to bed at like 2:30. We had to be up by maybe 8 or 9 to be on the road. But my brain wakes up. I woke up at 6, and naturally, like, Amy and I were on a bed on the top floor, open the blinds, and I kid you not, it was like Yellowstone. There was this huge mountain and farmland, and I was like, I can't go back to I can't go back to sleep now. I have to go grab a coffee and go sit out on the deck. And it was just the most picturesque. Like, if you're looking,
photo doesn't do it justice.
No,
but
it doesn't.
Truly beautiful, and it was like
Yellowstone,
beautiful and warm, but like not hot. It was kind of cool breeze, and
ducks are flying. Like, look at that, guys. Look at the ducks. That was incredible.
Heavenly.
Yeah, so that was gnarly.
Yeah, and what else? We saw a moose. Some of you guys might have seen that on my Instagram account. I've never seen a moose before. We were driving. I was like, what the hell? Moose, stop the car. So we pulled up on the side of the highway, basically. It was like a main road, and then ran across the road, and there was a moose just in like the river, and it was just looking at us like.
Getting loose with the moose.
Apparently they're really dangerous though, so I'm glad we didn't get too close, but everyone else was like pulling up on the highway and taking photos of this moose.
What was it, just quickly, because I know you've got to go to this hens party, but give us a quick 3 dot points around like why the VIP experience was cool, and then I want to get you to share your Reddit.
Yeah, VIP experience is becoming my most favorite part of touring. I love the show.
And creating memories. Apart from that,
I love a lot of parts of touring, but VIP experience is special. It's intimate. There's usually like 16, 10 to 16 fans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a chance for us to really get to know our fans. And we haven't done it before, but since coming to America and trying to make this more profitable, we're like, okay, well, how can we add more value? And this was one of those things. So we meet the fans, we get photos with them, they get a tote bag with a CD and a poster. And then we...
Signed, of course.
We also do a Q&A, and then we sing a couple of acoustic songs that aren't on the set, so they get a little exclusive. They can request songs, and that has been really touching just to see the way that our music has impacted our fans and community is just really humbling, and you just don't even know how much music can impact one person's life.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice to connect with fans on that level. And I'm really looking forward to trying the VIP experience in Australia when we head over there in October.
It's crazy to think that the VIP experiences in Australia are the same size as the actual shows here. That's wild.
Yeah, that is crazy. But I still think they're manageable to like meet everyone and hear stories.
Oh, no, they definitely are. Liam and I have structured it out to know exactly how it's going to work. It's going to be a tight ship.
It's going to be amazing.
But it'll be awesome.
Yeah, and I just have really loved that part of the tour. We haven't done it before, and looking forward to meeting more of our fans on a more personal level. I mean, that's where you really build true connection and lifelong fans. And
it works both
community.
ways. It's not just from like the fans getting to meet you guys, which I know they're excited about, but it's also, as you said, you guys getting to hear the story of what songs impacted them or how it's done certain things, and quite often you never get to share that.
Yeah,
like
and also
and so as a musician, I would imagine that's cool.
At these shows when you're performing to like small rooms, I think it's also just makes it more, I don't know, like you're not just walking out there cold being like, oh, like I'm scared. This room's like, I don't know.
They're friends already.
And you know that they're dying to see you. So it's like, it just makes getting on stage a little bit more easier.
Yeah. Well, hit the Reddit. You've got 2 minutes. Go.
Oh, Reddit story. Okay. So this one is, wife says her property is her safety net if we divorce. So over the weekend, my wife looked at homes just to see what was out there. We moved a few years back, so not really in the market. We found a home we really like, and it would be doable if we sold both her home, bought prior to us getting married, and our home. She proposed the idea of selling both homes, which got me thinking and researching. Today, she told me that her home is her safety net, and that broke my heart. I'm the sole provider, and she's a stay-at-home mum to 2 kids from a prior marriage and our baby. I've had pretty massive raises after our marriage and no assets prior. So she correctly always says that my money isn't just mine, and I can't just get whatever I want. So basically, her house is off limits, and everything of mine is hers. Doesn't seem fair to me at all. Is this normal?
Wow. What do you think? I did not hear a key detail in that the first time you read it when we did that. So,
look, I'm in 2 minds with this one. You know, there is a real fear in women especially with stay-at-home women, stay-at-home mums. Yeah. They dedicate their lives to raising babies, which is a noble job.
100%.
And then their husband leaves them for someone else, and they're left high and dry with no safety net and no, you hear horror stories of women who didn't have anything to fall back on. Their husband's done them dirty and just been like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And they're homeless because their kids leave home and then they have nowhere to go, or their kids don't leave home and they've got mouths to feed. And they have no skills or been out of the workplace.
Yeah.
Like that's a real fear.
It's so multi-dimensional in terms of how it can be viewed. I think the key part that I didn't hear, and I'll share why I think it's key, is I didn't realize that 2 of the kids were from a previous marriage. Now, I don't want to say that you shouldn't care for them equally, because I think if you're entering a marriage, that's a responsibility. But I do think that you should have an open conversation around what that looks like, because that's now that I'm speaking out loud, I think that's bullshit. If you're entering a marriage where she already has or he or she, doesn't matter, has previous children, then like the point is that you're now stepping into that role. So that's your responsibility to accept that, which means take that off the table. But I do, being out of the workforce, you obviously aren't progressing your skills. You aren't obviously being current in the workforce. And so that puts you at a disadvantage to go back. So I think there should be some communication around that. I don't know whether it would be like the house is my safety net, because the fact that you're saying that means that there's maybe some unconscious thought that you're not going to stay together.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you guys together?
But obviously she's divorced, so maybe she's gone through trauma before and like.
But if you carry baggage to another relationship, you just bring more of the same stuff.
That's true. I can understand how it can be hurtful, but also maybe.
If you said that to me, if you came into our relationship and you had said, I'd been messed around before, so I'm just going to have a few cards up my sleeve, I'd be like, well, how invested are you in making this actually work?
Yeah, I can understand that. But also there's stats, and I don't like throwing around stats when I don't actually know what they are or who said them. And but I read a stat that if you...
a factual stat? Just making the
I saw a stat
smarter
on Instagram that if you put your assets together when you're married rather than keeping them separate, you're more likely to be successful or more successful.
100%. It's putting any money together with people, you have more, which means you can leverage more.
Yeah. So maybe she needs a plan where they share the assets, and then, I don't know, part of the profit or part of the rent or whatever they're doing goes to her, or she needs a safety net.
That would definitely be the smartest thing to do. But as we know, like a lot of stories, or a lot of horror stories of divorce is like, you've been in love and you were the best love of my life, and as soon as divorce and money splits, everyone turns sour. So if you're able to stay level-headed and not let the emotions get the best of you during a divorce, you can both walk away very well. But most couples spend majority of their money on lawyers just trying to hurt each other.
It's a tough one. I wouldn't take it personally, and I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm hurt. I would just like look at working through it.
You would fucking destroy me. Come on.
I would destroy you, yeah, if you left me.
You would go to town. You would make it your life's mission. It would be like Sheppard shutting down, Amy Sheppard kicking Lockie's ass.
It's true.
Yeah, that would be the new thing. So,
but yeah, I fully sympathise with the fact that so many women have been screwed over. She's obviously been screwed over before, and a safety net when you have two kids that aren't.
Yeah, of course, you got to provide. And when people will do anything for survival, providing is survival.
So maybe there's a compromise with that, Yeah.
Anyway, on psychology sessions with Lachlan and Amy,
all right,
go fact check that fact as well. All right, Amy's going to a bachelorette party. We're going to do another one of these because, as we said, we owe you one. And we've still got so many juicy stories about this tour. I was just looking through photos, so we're going to come back to this week as well.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe,
join
do
our
all
Patreon
of those things.
if you want to see the
because
visuals.
It's much the same as, just quickly, as the musicians. It's like your support, and it doesn't need to be monetary, but even just sharing content, commenting, it helps boost our engagements, which then helps us get sponsors or, give people more lols, whatever this does to people. So I think that's something that is quite often, I always try to do it when I'm on social media, like comment on a couple of people's posts or share them, because I know how much effort people put into that sort of stuff, and it does actually help. So keep that in mind. Let's sign off.
Hooroo.